Hello! Welcome to Psieros.Psychic.Signs. Here I am, Psieros, bringing you the latest intuitive, psychic, energetic, collective news and forecasts, energy forecasts, intuition updates, psychic understandings, listening to the pool of the collective energies. So let's have a look what we are going to say today. I'm going to just do a little bit of talking. I just made a quick post to a friend. I gave her a long message about the winter energies coming in. But I should probably not just call them winter just by themselves, because these are stronger energies than just the normal winter energies. These seem to be marking a new cycle of growth and life. The last time I felt these energies in this kind of way was in probably 2004. 2004, and then they became stronger in 2015. They were still there in 2016. They were still there in 2017. But it was like the corresponding changes in my life that came with these energies that I perceive to be coming, like radiating from, I don't know, somewhere out in space. So maybe it's coming from the sun, or I don't know where exactly it comes from, but it just feels like there's a new energy in the air, and it feels like it comes from a faraway place, and it's emanating downwards. I feel it comes from beyond the sky. Is That's how I feel it. Like at the moment, it feels like it's coming from over there. That the energy is coming from over there, relative to me, obviously. But yeah, over there, I feel this energy radiating down towards me and infusing the whole sensation of the atmosphere and my life and my body with a different feeling, basically. And the corresponding shifts that tend to happen with this this new energy feeling is renewal of creativity, renewal of relationships, renewal of friendships, changes in lifestyle. So old patterns that were going on for a while come to an end, and new ones begin. Sorry, I've got the post up, and one of my other friends is posting it around and sharing it. And it's telling me what's going on in the Facebook thing. Right, so let me just repeat that again. So this new energy has various different qualities to it. It's endings and beginnings. So you've got the end of an old cycle happening. You've got the beginning of a new cycle. And what tends to happen is there's like a kind of refining process that happens, where the things that were really important and valuable to you in the last phase continue onwards and get deeper and more pronounced and more profound. And then whatever was fun but wasn't really serving you at a deeper level will fall away. I mean, you'll still kind of retain a casual interest in those things, and maybe they'll come back later. So the cycles of life are kind of like, continuously you move forward, and things from the past come with you, and then they drop away, and then some of those things come back, and it's obviously to do with what you're choosing to do as well. But the influence of the energy around you is supportive of more of certain things than other things. So for example, you'll find it very hard to go back to destructive habits, for example, during this phase of life, and you'll get instead a new set of habits. It'll be easier. All I'm saying is, obviously we have our free will, we have our intelligence, we have our intentions and our desires and our wishes for ourselves and our own activities, but the energy surrounding the atmosphere, the energetic atmosphere, the environment that we find ourselves in is more supportive to various different types of things, because it energizes, it gives you the ability and strengthens the energy that you need to be able to do certain things that in other energy periods are more difficult. So let me just continue with what I feel these energies to be about. I'll just read the post that I made first, and then I'll do a bit more elucidation. So I'll read it verbatim, just so I can say I told you so at a later date. The autumn energies are coming in strongly today. Today is the 28th of July 2018. They started coming in July, which was strange. Normally I feel them in September for the first time. Yes. All right. So yeah, normally I feel this particular energy force, the coming down, radiating, infusing life with a sense of creative preciousness. But yeah, I should have said about that as well. It's a sense of real rich and deep and profound spiritual energy and spiritual wisdom, spiritual knowings that I feel in this energy feeling. So it really deepens everything that I do creatively, and I feel like I go to new places and I get deeper into whatever project it was. For example, last year, 2017, when these energies came along, I was doing I was writing up part of my life story in a creative autobiography with various psychedelic characters, as well as my own lived experience from the past and from the present. So I was doing this kind of psych ward, it's called psych ward book series. And when these energies started to come in, because I was writing it over a long period of time in different chunks, when these new energies came in, everything got so much more emotional, it got so much deeper, it got so much more insightful, it got so much more powerful in terms of like how it affected other people. It's much more moving for other people and much more inspired. Yeah, and it really shifted a lot of energy. And I should make the important point here. So when we're thinking about energies, and if it's to do with psychic intuition, or if it's to do with predictions, or if it's to do with like energy work in the body, or if it's to do with creativity, or anything, we have to retain a sense that there's a goal, yes, that we're moving towards, a goal of improvement. So our life situations are improving, moving towards a happier, more fulfilling movement, if you like, in our lives. So our lives are moving in more deeply satisfying ways for us. And the other aspect is the present moment enjoyment of life. That yes, our lives are always moving towards their goals. We want to, let's say, for example, for me, I want to improve my financial situation. I want to improve my audience numbers and quality of my audience. I want to finish off a lot of old creative projects that have been around for a while, that I'm finishing off. And each time I finish a creative project, it brings up a burst of energy for me to do the next thing. So these are goals, right? And I want to eventually get another car, because I haven't had a car for ages. I need to redo my driving license. Not redo it, I need to reapply for it, because I had a medical one for medical reasons for ages, whatever, it's expired. And so, yeah, and I want to eventually move out of this family living situation, living with my mum. I want to get a girlfriend again, and I want to move towards marriage, and I want to move towards having a family, and so, children, and probably a cat. Don't think I'll have a dog. I thought about a dog for a bit just then, and then I don't like dogs. They're too much effort. I like them. I mean, I like them, but I don't want to have one. Yeah. So I'll just get a friend. Let's get an extra friend who I don't have at the moment. Get a new friend with a dog involved in the friend. Just carries a dog around on the shoulders the whole time. So yeah. So I have the goals. The goals are there, but we must also remember to stay here in the present moment, and because eventually the goal of a human life, as in the end point, the destination, the destiny of one human body, human life, is death. And cremation or burial or shoved out of an airplane, I don't know, whatever it is, shot into the sun. That's the end of our lives. So if we only ever think in terms of goals, then extrapolate that out, and all you get is, oh, my final goal is death, and to die well, or to leave a legacy, and that stuff. So there's that on the horizon. If you continuously live yourself only in accordance with your goals, you will find that, well, the ultimate goal is just to die. That's the ultimate sort of final status, Facebook status, isn't it? I died. I finally got there. I did it. Woohoo! You know, I got to the end. Yes! Completed the game. Woohoo! Oh, fuck, I'm dead. Yeah. So we have to remember that we stay here while we do these things. So we stay in touch with the living of life now as we're moving towards our goals, and pay attention to the experience of it, both for the value of being able to remember and reflect on what has gone before, which obviously informs what we do now and what we want to do for the future. So we're constantly shifting between the past, the present, and the future, isn't it? So we live here, we take the lessons from the past, we stay here to learn the lessons from the past. And when I say here, I mean in the present. We stay here in the present to learn the lessons of the past, to give us ideas as to what we want to do in the future. Quite often the things that I want to do in the future, at the moment anyway, are finishing things or completing things or doing things I didn't get to do in the past that I wanted to do, or that subsequently now I realise that, hey, I missed out on that thing in the past. I want to do that moving forward into the future. I want to get this figured out, or I want to learn about this that I didn't get to learn about in the past. I want to experience this in the future that I missed out on in the past. You know, it's kind of like catching up with myself thing I'm doing at the moment. Things I wanted to explore in the past at the time that I didn't get around to, or just was too much to do, and now it becomes easier for whatever reason, that cultural scenarios, the internet, for example, makes it easier for me to catch up on things that I missed out on when I was a lot younger. So yeah, so the present, the past, and the future. So I'm trying to say we need to stay in the present moment and stay contacted to the present moment, in contact with our lives while we move towards the goals. Because if we continuously search for the final goal of life, we miss everything in between. We have nothing to reflect on at the end of our lives because we were just constantly seeking the next thing. We weren't paying attention to the moment in which we were alive while we were getting the next thing. We weren't paying attention to how that really felt, what that was like, experiencing everything with our senses, and feeling the joy of life. Because what's the point in getting to a situation that's great if for like 5 years you go through hell just because you forgot to enjoy your life in the meantime while you're working towards your super important goal? And you get to the super important goal and you look back and you go, was that really worth it? You know. And I think personally, not that I'm some amazing super being, although I do have some suspicions that I am. Right, I think that I will always now, since 2013, when I developed this new appreciation for life, I came off medication, antidepressant medications. I also had a simultaneous spiritual and psychic awakening and an emotional health upgrade, shall we say. And I developed this new appreciation for life and this new feeling of energy about life. Since then, I feel like I will always have something in a day that I really enjoy. I feel like I'm constantly in touch with my body and my feelings, and I feel like when I look back at my memories, they're so rich now. They're so rich, you know. So if I look back over the last 5 years, let's say I move forward 5 years, and I look back at this period in time from that 10-year vantage point. What I'm trying to say is, my life is so much more rich now. So as I move forward, my memories are more rich from this period of time than they were before it, because I've been paying attention, because I've been listening to myself, because I've been in touch with myself. So I'm creating constantly, as my life moves forwards, my life becomes richer and richer and richer and deeper and deeper and deeper, because I'm continuously attending to life. I'm attending to myself. So as I grow, my life becomes richer. I become more deeply myself. I become more expressive of what's within me. I become more free in what I'm able to do. And looking back on what has gone before, the more you enrich your life now, the richer your memories are for when you reflect back. So, you know, it's a good thing overall to remain present. And to sense the value of life now. It's both valuable now, and it's also valuable for when you look back on the life that you have lived as you move forward. See, this is all coming energies. I can feel that these energies are increasing my emotional depth, and I'm able to be stronger
and go to a deeper place and express something more deep and profound than I would have been like before these energies came in.
So let me continue reading now. The autumn energies are coming in strongly today. They started coming in July, which was strange. I would want to say something about this as well, because normally they come in September. And this year is the first year I felt them come in so early. This emanation thing. Now, I don't know exactly what that means, but I feel like it means good. It means good. It means good for this next phase, because they've come in early, they come in strong, and they've come in much more persistently than before. So what I get a sense of is that there's a bigger wave of energy coming through than there was last time. Like last time, I would feel this energy wave come in a few days here and there, and it'd be kind of weakish around September. This time, I've already felt it in July. I felt it quite a few days already in July. And I also am recognizing it more strongly as well, so I'm actually listening for it and looking for it. I feel like it has a sound. It sounds a bit like the Om, the universal Om, like it feels like that. It doesn't have a literal sound, but it feels like there's an energetic sound that if I was going to verbalize it, it would be like oh, mystical kind of. There's that as well to it. It's cool. It's cool. It's really cool. It reminds me of certain pieces of music that seem to have the same feeling to it. Yeah, so I feel like these ones are particularly strong this year, and that's why I'm suggesting to you that this is marking a new phase of life. Now, I'm not doing this in terms of astrology, okay? I just do what I sense in the atmospheric energies. I've noticed that there's been a marked decrease in atmospheric fracturing of energies. I'm very sensitive to the environmental energies wherever I am, and for about 2 years there was a strong sense that the consciousness of other people was very, very fractured. So I would see their consciousness, and their eyes looked like they had about 5 different layers of denial or perception distortion over them. So like it looked like they're looking through these tiny little holes out of the world and seeing hardly any of what was actually there. So and that's in contrast to a conscious being whose eyes look like they are bright, available, intelligent, relaxed yet focused, so alert, clear. There's a sparkle in them. So that's the consciousness, and there's a real sense of clarity around the eye area so that you can see their eyes more clearly, right? If you can see someone's eyes clearly when you're talking to them, that means that they have or they are operating in a clear consciousness mode at that time. It won't be the same way across all time periods. Like my eyes go through varying degrees of conscious clarity, you know. In some of my videos, they will appear like I look like a crazy person. In some of my videos, I appear very, my eyes appear very direct and sharp, but also bright or clear. Sometimes they will appear very narrow, sometimes they'll appear very big. And that's all to do with how the Ajna chakra is operating in the consciousness in the brain area as well. What am I talking about? Well, yeah, I just feel like this is a new phase of upward moving, rising energy. I've had a period of very down moving energy for a long time, which is really real drag, bros. And I tell you what I could have done if I hadn't started smoking 5 years ago. Fuck, is it that long? Yeah. Well, so I must have been smoking for 4 years, not 3. Shit. Oh well. Oh well. 3.5, 4. I can't remember. Anyway, if I hadn't started smoking, maybe my life would not have had the bigger downturn that it did, because my energies would have been a bit stronger overall, because I was weakening my energies with all the cigarettes I was smoking. Yeah. But yeah, I've been through a real downturn in energy, and it's not like I've been depressed, but it's just that my whole system has been weighed down for a long time, and it rose up. The energies in my system rose up around the end of the 2013, the year 2013. At the end of that year, my energies began to rise, and they rose and rose and rose, and then probably around January 2017, they really started to dive, and they dived. They'd already started to dive a bit anyway, actually, by that point. They started to dive around mid 2016. So if you look at the 5 year period between 2013 and 2018, it's been like rising, 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 rising. Things were going well. All sorts of new experiences were happening, new lifestyle changes, new friendships, new relationships, new sex, new creativity, the new channels, the new artworks. All this stuff was rising, rising, rising. New money situations were coming in, rising, rising, rising. Then they kind of peaked, and then they just went, woo! All those things started to fall away. Like, so a lot of friends drifted away. Yeah, a lot of friendships drifted away. Family relationships became different. I had a new relationship that came in that really cemented, really sparked of a grief feeling that was present from before that had never been fully felt. And so the grief just down, 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 down. Still having fun and enjoying things as well, but the overall movement of my life was a downturn. So it's like a rise up, excitement, energy, wonderfulness, and then the fall from that. So it's like a rise up and then a fall. And not to say that the depression part hasn't got value, because it does have value. It's just harder to see the value from that phase while you're still in that phase. I think that the purpose of that phase is the refining process. So as you go through the downturn of energy, the lowering of energy, because you can't sustain a high level of energy at all times. So as that starts to wane and the things associated with that phase, that upturn phase, it becomes clear which ones are working and which ones are good and which ones aren't. That happens during the downturn phase, where because you have kind of less energy to less and less energy, the things that don't work and that aren't as important, you start to just shed them because they're weighing you down. So as your energy lessens, you get rid of all sorts of different things, whether it's thought structures, whether it's emotional reactions, objects, friendships, relationships, habits, whatever. So as that's on that down tail of the cycle, it's a shedding, and it's a deepening, and it's a realizing of what's important. During the downturn phase, I became much more in touch with my body, so much more in touch with my body, to a point where I can go deeper inside my body and feel my body from a deeper place much more easily than I was able to do at the beginning of the upturn phase. The upturn phase, I was kind of shallow in terms of my body presence. I was very sharp mentally, and I was very good expressively in the creative world. But in terms of my ability to hold space and to deal with difficult emotional situations with other people, I was terrible. I couldn't deal with anything emotionally. I was a wreck. So when I went through the downturn phase of this energetic cycle of the rise and fall of energy, the downturn phase was a real into the body experience, coming into the body, deepening into the body, expressing more from a place of body awareness, which is something I've recently become interested in. That all my creativity comes now, and has been coming actually for ages, but all of it comes from a place of body awareness. So if I'm writing a story, or if I'm drawing a picture, or even if I'm doing a video, I am listening to what is the body saying, and I'm expressing everything in what I do creatively is an expression of a sensation. It's an expression of a sensation. Sensational! I'm expressing a feeling, and taking a feeling out from inside my body and putting it out into a representation, a new creation in the outside world. Right. So, I should have said winter energies, but they do have the feeling of winter, these energies. I think maybe it's whatever the sun or the seasons, the sun and the moon in correspondence to each other, and the stars creating the seasons, they say, right, come on, let's get ready for winter now. And that's what I feel. There's probably some actual scientific shift that I'm picking up on, but I just feel it in terms of energies, man. Autumn is when they kick in, signaling winter coming, but also they have intense creative power to them. These ones, being strong, seem to have a similar feeling to 2014. Okay, so this is a good point for you. If you remember back to the days of 2014, about 4 years ago, and remember how you were feeling then and what was going on then in your life, just on a general basis, expect, I'm talking about the positive aspects of it, right? Expect that same feeling to start coming into your life again. So for me personally, 2014 was an awesome period in time. I had all this new energy that I keep speaking about, and I was doing so much more and doing it in a way I'd never done it before. My life just went through a complete and total overhaul. My sense of identity went through a complete and total overhaul. My finances returned to being okay again, good, improving. And I had just so many different experiences during that time, which actually, all those different experiences, as we went through the upturn of that to peak in the 2016 period, all those experiences were what contributed to me needing to rest, and our body starting to just go bollocks to this. Because I just absorbed and gone through so many different experiences that I just couldn't sustain the energy level anymore. I just couldn't. My body needed time to process. My mind needed time to process all this uprise of energy and all these new creations and all these new experiences and events and changes and overhaul and stuff. And it just went, I can't. I need to quieten down. And there were still new things along that path as well, but it was more of a downward. So here we go. These energies, being strong, seem to have a similar feeling to 2014. So look forward to an upturn in creative activity. Situation changes are on the rise. So this is a good time for you to make those situation changes that previously appeared difficult. I would think you will find it easier as we move forward now. So you might find things that you've been meaning to do, but you just haven't done because you just like didn't feel like it, or you just couldn't muster up the energy, or when you try and do these things, it seems like something from the outside world is constantly fucking blocking it. Like some other person is blocking it, or it just falls through for no good reason. You've had this plan or this goal or this task or this event you've been trying to set up, or the situation you've been trying to change, and it's just remained the same. And you've every time you've tried, you've gone to it, and you've like, even if it's to try and create a new project, every time you've gone to it, you've been like, why is it not? It's there, and I know I need to do it. And like, I've got this one book, for example, that I've had since around the 2014 period, and like, I've tried it. I tried to do a bit on it. I've done a little bit on it, and it's just, it doesn't want to be done yet. It doesn't want to be made. I know that it needs to be made, and it's still there. It's still in my consciousness. It still has a need to do it, and I still have it pretty much all figured out in my head anyway. Because I figured it out right then and there when I had the initial inspiration for it. It sort of came as a bit of a download, like, oh, there it is. And it just won't come. It refuses my input at this time. So if you have a situation that you've been trying to change for like a good period of time, now, I'm just telling myself this as well, now listening to the energies, being energized by this new phase, this upward phase, may be the chance for you to channel that into these new situations that you've been trying to create for ages. So it might be good for me to start working on that new book during this time, because this is a good creative phase of energy, the movement of newness. Look forward to an upturn in creative energy. Situation changes are on the rise. The energy is supportive of a new phase of life at the moment. So anything you've been planning to do that represents newness and like long-term change as well. So if it's moving house, or if it's a long-term business idea, or a relationship, now is the time. I don't mean now like explicitly like today. I mean now, moving forward over the next couple of years is a good time to capitalize on this incoming wave of new creative energy. The energy is supportive of a new phase of life at the moment. You may find things coming together easier. Yep. So things you've found really difficult to make work, you find it, why was it such a struggle before? And it was a struggle before because basically the environmental energies were not supportive of that. So it's very difficult to do certain things when you're in a contrasting energy field for it. Long-standing healing issues coming to a resolution during this time. Yes. So you may find that particular emotional or psychological issues that you've had, like, I don't know, I always pick my nose in public. I don't know, it's just a joke one, but some people may have that as a difficult issue. Long-standing healing issues coming to a resolution, or you will find it easier to bring resolution to psychological issues that have been long-standing and difficult for you, and emotional ones as well. So if you're, let's say for example, you've been working on anxiety, healing your anxiety, or even healing your depression, or healing a specific compulsion or specific addiction, you will probably find, I'm not saying it's going to work for everyone, but you will probably find it easier to change those and heal those feelings and problems psychologically, emotionally, and in terms of addictions, and in terms of like compulsions or just problem behaviors that are not working for you, that are harming you, that you find difficult to shift. You will probably find it easier to change those in this new wave of creative energy, because the direction of this energy is upward, moving into newness. There's a shifting newness, creativity, newness and creativity. So it's a generative phase, like things to be made, changed, resolved, because the resolution of past things moving into a new thing. long-standing healing issues coming to a resolution during this time, and a new wave of spiritual energy. Yes, meaning you're going to feel more in touch with yourself. You're going to feel more like yourself. You feel more like you during this phase. New wave of spiritual energy to bring forth new situations, objects, relationships, lifestyles. So if you're going to buy anything new, that's important as well. This is a good phase for that. Bringing in new items that seem to stand for you more deeply. I remember around this type of phase in 2014, I bought a new TV, right? And it was significant because it was my TV. I'd bought it. I'd not been given it by anyone, and it wasn't just one that was lying around in the family. That was the family one. It wasn't a present. I'd bought it, right, for me, specifically for me and for no one else. It wasn't a shared thing with a relationship or anything. It was my TV for me, for only me. And it was quite small, but it was what I could afford at the time. And that TV was an awesome TV. I loved that TV because it was mine and it worked well and it felt good. It felt good to hold. It felt good to shove the fucking DVD in, you know. It had a reasonable picture quality. It was terribly small compared with all other TVs that I've ever used in other people's houses, and other people's got massive TVs, whatever. But it was my TV, and I was in love with that TV, right? Because it was a really solid, good object, and I was like, it represented me really well during that phase. I think I got some other things as well. Phone, yeah, it wasn't so great. But the TV was awesome. So if you want to buy a new appliance of some kind, or like a car even, or a TV or a new lounge set, anything, any new set of thing, new energy, creative energy. You're changing situations to be better than they were before. This is a really good time because the environmental energies are supportive of you making new decisions in your life, creating new situations. Now remember, there will be a downturn to this phase as well. So everything that is great now and all the new things that you get and the new situations that happen will have a downturn to them. So there will be the rough to the smooth, if you like. So all this great stuff happening now will have the double-edged sword to it at some point. It may not be horrendous, but there's going to be some negative stuff. For example, my TV that I was going on about, it started to kind of catch the DVD thing wasn't working properly, and then it was really quite small comparative to like this other TV that came in, which I don't have the same affection for, but it's still bigger than the last one. So there is a downturn to it, and as much as we love the things and the people in our lives, nothing stays the same for very long, and we cannot keep all the good things in a constant state of goodness. Yeah. So all things that are good will eventually not necessarily turn bad, but you won't be able to make everything in your life feel great forever. It's just impossible. Right, so let's have a look at this, what it said there. New wave of spiritual energy to bring forth new situations. Yes, I want to say bring forth. It's not like they're just going to appear, although sometimes that can happen. Sometimes it feels as though some greater power is working through you. Like last year, for example, I felt like this greater power was working through me to get me to go on a little holiday to Bournemouth for 6 weeks, where just the situations and emotions of that time period, I just had to surrender so deeply to the situation that I took some actions that I'm not exactly proud of, but they led to this massive change in situation for me to go and live in Bournemouth for 6 weeks, which had an impact in various ways, and it was something that needed to happen, and I don't know how I would have ever done that had I not had this greater power feeling working through me. It was almost like I was being lifted up temporarily by God or the angels or something and saying, right, go here, have a rest, because you can't deal with this in this energy now. And I felt like I was lifted up out of this horrible situation when I had a terrible breakup, and I was really fighting with my mum for no good reason. Um, my body was torn to pieces from smoking and the grief and all this stuff, and I felt like I just surrendered so deeply, and I just let myself express anything that came to me. And what resulted from that was this: my parents basically said, go have a fucking break, and everything went so smoothly to allow for that to happen, that it was like, wow, how did that? And I would have never even thought of that. I would have never thought of asking them to put me up somewhere or whatever, but they did. Um, yeah, so it can feel like new situations just magically, literally magically happen. Like you win something, even, that then helps you to do the thing that you've always been trying to do, but you've never been able to. Um, just like, or even small things that seem to come out of nowhere, out of the blue, the sort of event horizon. They just emerge, and you go, "Oh my god, where the hell has this been all my life?" Or "Where the hell have you been all my life?" Or "Thank fuck you came back, because I didn't know where the hell you'd been." Yeah. New wave of spiritual energy to bring forth new situations, objects, as I mentioned, relationships. Yeah, I don't feel this one personally, because in my personal life I don't feel ready for relationships, new ones. So that might not be relevant to me, but it might be relevant to other people. Depends where your manifestation process is going at the moment. If you're looking, if you're on a phase of creation of better relationships, like I'm really not that keen on relationships at the moment, because my grief cycle is not yet complete over my last relationship. So I'm like, whatever. But yeah, if relationships is what you're focused on, then maybe this energy will help you to direct into deepening, enriching, expanding. It might be about getting more relationships, in terms of like more better quality relationships, friendships. I mean, or whatever relationships means to you. Uh, my sensation is of newness, better, higher quality, deeper connection. That's all I got on that. Better, newness, better quality, deeper connection. Maybe quantity as well, better quantity. So if you need quantity of relationships for whatever it is that you're doing, or whatever is relevant to you in your life, some people need lots of shallow connections in order to achieve things in business, for example. It might be to do with that. Lifestyles. New situations, objects, relationships, lifestyles. So that's to do with habits, and to do with what you are going to do, like with your body, and like, I don't know. I feel it to be things like drinking, smoking, exercise, where you go regularly. This could be to do with work as well. So it could be to do with like, obviously this new energy is really changes your work up, uh, and I'm just thinking, well, this can't happen in the same way for every person, because if I say, oh yeah, it's going to really improve your work situation, well, not everyone's work situation can improve at the same time, because it just doesn't make sense. Because as some people's work situations get better, others get worse, because that's the nature of competition in the capitalist world, isn't it? But no, so for example, it just depends where you are manifesting and in what direction your life is going. So if you are really focused on the work aspect of your life, then the new energy may help you to do that. Or it could actually be that the new energy helps to highlight something that you haven't been focused on, and that kind of brings this new aspect to what you're doing. I know I'm talking in very general terms, but I'm trying to sort of speak in a broad way, to touch base with the core of it, because the core of it is not a specific. It's non-specific. It's an energy feeling that is just coming, lots of new energy, and it's got various different potentials that could be used for. Enjoyments, yes. bring new enjoyment. So you may find that you enjoy something that you've never enjoyed before, or something you didn't used to enjoy. You now enjoy it because the new energy has come in that allows you to release your resistance to whatever this thing is, and you start to enjoy this aspect of your life more, like doing the washing. Enjoyments into the world for you and others. Okay, fine. You may also find that your periods of introspection, yes, this energy is very good for introspection. If you're trying to figure out an issue, if you're trying to create an idea, and you need to go really like deep into it and think, you need to think, right? This is a very good energy for the clarification of thinking, right? That's a good sentence I just said there as well. This is a really good energy for the clarification of thinking. The clarification of thinking, the mind. Yeah, this is a great energy for real deep introspection and consideration of various different options and ideas, to go into the mind space and to be sifting through and figuring out problems, you know, whether it's creative problems as to what are you going to make next, or what's the solution to this, or whether it's relational problems like, oh, why are they behaving that way, and what can I do about it, and what should my next action be, and what do I want in my life, and these kind of questions, introspection. Yeah, or even like, why am I behaving this way all the time? Why do I keep doing this stupid fucking thing that I wish that I didn't ever even fucking start? Why do I do it this way? Why am I doing it this way? This is a great time to bring that energy into these questions. So overall, this energy coming in is creating that natural upturn because of all this stuff. Like, it's so much easier to do introspection, which means it's easier then to create. Does this make sense, right? It's easier to change your habits because if you have the clarity of mind and emotion to do it, everything becomes easier. All the creative manifestational aspects of life become easier in this upturn phase, right? And then let's just contrast it with the downturn. What becomes easier is in the downturn is a real deepening of experience, a real consolidation of all that has come before, and a real like deepening. Basically, it's a real centering and deepening, grounding. So you come into a real deep appreciation of what there already is here, and you're not looking at what to do next necessarily. And you'll find it very difficult in a downturn to figure out what to do next, because what you are trying to do in a downturn is to learn from what has happened before and to appreciate what there is here now. This is a real good video. All right. This is because we've got the creative energy coming in, babies. You know, rocking it up. You may also find that your periods of introspection are more productive. Yes, gaining insights and revelations quicker and with more lasting value for you. So I can think of that in terms of, right, thinking of ideas easier and quicker. Gaining insights. Why is this the way it is? Bing. Ah, it's because of that. But these insights and stuff only really come and are available to you in the upturn because of the work of the previous downturn. The downturn of energy where you're like resting, processing, centering, feeling like shit, you know, all this stuff going on in your mind that you're just like, oh, bamboozled by life or whatever it is, depression or anxiety that's just prohibiting you from feeling like you can do anything in your life because you're too scared and it's too painful to do things, right? All that stuff coming to an end and resolving, all those little bits of crap, like the mind stream quietening down, the emotional stuff having finished its real brunt of all that, and it's done the grounding, it's finished centering, it's like, I've done the processing, right? I understand now. So now when you have a introspection and you're looking at, like, let's say a new event comes in, and you have to process that, you're processing much quicker. You gain an insight about why that was, how that happened, and what to do about it next time, or what to do next as a result of what has just previously happened. Yeah. So revelations come in quicker. You may find that if you're on some kind of quest, some people are on a quest, I'm on a little bit of a quest, on a quest of spiritual learning or spiritual development or spiritual expansion, whatever, to expand your awareness and understanding of life, and of God, the unseen unknown, that revelations of, oh God, it's been like this the whole time and I didn't even see it, will come a lot easier during this phase. And, as it says next, these revelations and insights will have more lasting value for you during this time. So all the stuff that happens in this little period of time, maybe 2 years, on the upturn, is going to have a lasting value that will help you to remain healthier, happier, wiser, more fulfilled, more satisfied in better situations for longer. So everything that happens now is having a deeper impact on your life for the future. So wicked. Now, as I've said all this stuff, yeah, it sounds like the whole thrust of this phase is to move you to somewhere else that's better, yeah? Whether it's in terms of your mind, in terms of your emotions, in terms of your relationships, your situations, your objects, everything, blah, right? That is the upward movement. It's the movement into form, as Eckhart Tolle will say. There's a outgoing and a return, and that these outgoing and return movements, I'm calling it the upturn and the downturn, the up and the down, the in and the out, the shake it all about. Oh, shake it all about. Let's just pause. the outgoing and the return movements. What am I saying? Let's have a break. In the upturn phase, the sensation is of expansion in the world of form. So everything is to do with things, stuff, people, objects, places, scenarios, energies, right? The return movement is about the dissolution of form. So things falling away, like the leaves falling off the trees, yeah? So this is like the spring. So the sensation of spring happening over a longer period of time. Does that make sense? So obviously you still have your own seasons within that upturn. So as the energy rises, you're still going to have ups and downs within that, but it's overall rising. Then you have a little kind of peak period where you get a plateau, and then you start to downturn, in which you still have your ups and downs. So some days are better than others, and they get progressively lower. In terms of form, things appearing great and amazing on the outer level, but the internal level, what happens is you start to get deeper and deeper and deeper into your true nature as the formless nature. So the deep, rich emptiness of the fullness of life, the emptiness of self. So the pregnancy of joy. It's the formless, the unknown, the unseen, the unmanifested that's where you return to during a downturn. So it's only downturn in terms of form. You could say that the formless is on the rise in the downturn of form. Okay, fine. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I think I've finished it. I think we're done. So you got the upturn coming now. No, the final point is to return to the original thing that I was saying, which was the whole thrust seems to be moving upwards, okay? The energy is towards creating newness, changing, creating newness. New situations, new people, goals, dreams, all manifestation happening, new form, leaves coming onto trees, blooming, blossoming, flowering, yeah? This is the feeling of that. But partly we know there's going to be a downturn as well, so don't get too attached to this upward movement and think that this is the be-all and end-all and it's going to stay this way forever, because nothing stays this way forever. Everything always is moving and changing, which is probably why during the downturn that I've just had, I've been like really kind of obsessed for about half a year about the fact that everything's always fucking changing all the fucking time. And why isn't anything staying the same? And that's been real annoying, and there's been a few people around me and my family, like family friends and stuff, who have died. And I'm like, oh, grief is fucking grief. This whole thing has been about grief and loss and death. Blah. And a downturn. Whereas before it was all about life and newness and excitement. And then in the downturn you see all that life and excitement and newness against the background of the stillness of this death and grief. So even the newness of spring, when I was watching it this year, I was like, this is incredible because it's beautiful now, and I'm experiencing it as amazing and creative now, but I'm also aware that there's a real changeability to the whole thing, that it's like coming and going real quick, and it's really moving, um, dissolving. So the sense of spring when it came around this year, I was like, it didn't have the same solidity to it that the last one did. The last one, when spring came, it was like, just feels like, yeah, rushing forward. And this time it was like, okay, there's a certain measuredness to spring that I was like, yeah, but you're going to turn into summer pretty quick, and then summer's going to turn to winter. So I'm not fooled overall. I like it. I see what you're doing there. I think it's really great, but I'm also not attached into it in the same way that I'm just going to jump on that wave and go like a mad person into spring, you know. Jeez. All right. Okay. So the final point is to return to the point that I was saying, which is to stay here in the present moment as you're going about creating all this newness. The thrust is into newness, upward movement, but stay here and enjoy that whole process and be observational, attentive to that. So be aware of that. Stay centered while you're doing all this. It will go into a downturn. So you just be yourself, and you stay committed to being aware and conscious. And that's you could call it a protection from being overwhelmed by all the newness, because the new energy can be quite overwhelming when it's like so much going on. And your protection is to remain detached, to remain centered, to see all of life as this teeming rush of life energy, and to know that you are the witness to all of these things, that you are the self who perceives all of this, and you are the self that is beyond all of this outward display of form. You are the observer, the knower, the understander, the sensing. And that way you stay detached even in a downturn as well, because the downturn doesn't pull your sense of self into it. It may pull your emotions and your body and all your fucking mind stream into it, the like feeling, but that your sense of self is not implied by those things. So you are the presence or the consciousness that is observing and brings integrity to, or brings understanding to, all this downturn. Similarly with the upturn that we're going through, you're the one, the intelligence, the knower, who is bringing life to all these new things and animating it all. All right, about an hour. I think that's enough. Thanks very much. Just wanted to talk about those energies coming in. Yeah. Okay. That was wicked. See what it says? New insights.